Hello and welcome to Audio Trends TV. I'm Mark Hales, the manager of Audio Trends, and I have here with me today visiting our store Mr. AJ van den Hul, so welcome.
Thank you, sir.
And you're the founder of Van den Hul Cables or
Correct.
Systems.
Yes.
That was established back in 1980.
More or less, yes indeed. Yeah.
Fantastic.
My father was inventor, designer. He worked for Philips, and one of his inventions was ultrasonic cleaning, capacitive heating and inductive heating. That was what he did for Philips. In the war, Second World War, he was captured and brought to prison in Germany in a camp called Neuengamme. He came back again after the war, and he suffered from cancer and he died in the beginning of 1948.
Okay.
So I grew up without father, and that's something I never wish any son
No.
to live with, because you have so many questions in your life and you can't find the right answers because the person that's most close to you is your father, and he's not there anymore. Reasons why I have my company is fundamentally based on this fact, because you want to prove that's subconscious, you want to prove you made it.
That's right.
So after my study on the University of Delft, I founded my company, and that was the beginning of my audio, say, hi-fi experience. My father had a lot of electronic items on the attic, so I took them apart. What's a pity afterwards, but I learned a lot. And one of my first electronic designs was an amplifier I made also in the year he died, was in 1948. So fundamentally in 1948 I made the beginning of my hobby that became later my profession, but I still feel it's my hobby.
Fantastic.
So don't look at this business, the hi-fi business, as a profession. I still enjoy inventing, listening, talking to other people, making recordings, learning about musical instruments, whatever is pleasant and necessary, I like it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great information. So Van den Hul have a company slogan, the link between technique and emotion.
Yeah.
And that's something that, did you think of that? Is that something you come
my
up
own slogan. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I know you've said before that your study was in physics.
Yes.
And your hobby is in chemistry.
Apart, because I made a lot of explosives during my study, but I still have my 10 fingers, and I'm lucky,
Fantastic.
otherwise I can't put cartridges together. So when I was walking outside with my students, and I made a mix, was in Christmas holiday, because they had to have an extra support in the holiday time. I made some fun with chemists, and suddenly it exploded. And I said, this is the last explosion I like to see, like to hear. Save my ears, save my fingers. So from that moment on, it was closed door. My sons still ask me, how did you make the explosives? Where did you get the chemistry from? I keep quiet. I don't say a word. And every time they ask again, but I won't tell them.
Fantastic.
To keep them happy and alive, and not a son, an arm missing or a leg missing or whatever could happen if the explosions were not correctly done. So I stopped.
Fantastic.
Close subject.
Okay.
Yeah. So chemistry was used for explosions. I built my own rockets, and with this, the chemicals I used, the rockets were flying high. But it gave me also a good understanding about what combinations of chemicals can do. During my study, I had the big luck to have lectures from a professor, Jongeberger, and he was able to print in your brain the feeling, the knowledge, the picture of a metal. And I shared with him the student healthcare, and we had a lot of talk together about healthcare and about metals. And after he passed away, I continue with his work by imaginations in my head or pictures in my head, how to make a metal structure and what the properties of that metal structure do with, say, electrical signals.
Yep.
So basically, with his knowledge, I have built several cable compositions, they say metal compositions, and those compositions are still working very well in our business. Part of the result is that, for instance, the Concertgebouw in Amsterdam is completely wired with my cable.
Yep.
So any Sunday I listen to live music, I listen to my own product. Part of it is, for instance, the wiring we supply to B&W.
Yes.
All loudspeakers of B&W have my wire inside. What was for a while not officially to be told around because B&W kept quiet, but a while ago they officially published on their website that they use my wires. They said we are proud of the cooperation, and after 34 years of working together, now it's officially said. But I have 38 companies together. I supply our products for their products.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So through the years you've been working with a number of different products in regards of silver, copper. You've now moved on to using carbon, which is an interesting technology. You want to, so like we have behind here we have the 3T, which is the true transmission technology, which uses a combination of metals and carbon. So do you want to give us a little bit of insight in regard to that?
With pleasure. It's easy to work with soft metals because you don't need a lot of power to reduce the size over dies.
Yes.
But say you use copper. As soon as the copper is exposed to air, it builds a little layer of oxidation, of oxide. And if you put it through the next die, this layer is mixed with the rest.
Yep.
It's mixed with the rest, it's mixed with the rest, it's mixed with the rest. So in the end, you may say, I have 99.9999% pure copper, but it's a mix of copper and minor layers of oxidized copper.
Yes.
Those layers of oxidized copper do not have a correct electron transmission. So what you get is an input of a sine wave, and on the end the output is a sine wave. Then a moment of no transmission, electrons don't have speed enough to pass those oxidized layers, and then the other part, nothing, upper part, nothing, the other part. And that gives odd harmonic distortion. And for inexperienced listeners, this odd harmonic distortion sounds like higher resolution. But resolution is a harmonic structure of the instrument, and odd harmonic distortion is a kind of uncontrolled extra signal that kills specifically the acoustics.
Yes.
So the better the conductor, the longer you can follow the acoustics before they die out. And acoustics should die out like the lowest frequencies last longest.
Yes.
And the high frequencies are absorbed faster. If digital acoustics, you hear stop, stop. So the lower signals will not pass, and the acoustics are transformed to an equal level of harmonic content without a roll-off on the high end. So that's an easy way how to discriminate between an analog recording and a digital recording. It's the electronics that kills the acoustics. That might be too outspoken, and digital friends will certainly not like me to say this, but this is what I've experienced. So the question was, how can we improve signal transmission by better technology, avoid boundaries? One of my first experiments was made with our carbon cable, the first, the second and the third, originating from 1985, 1987, 1988, where I managed to make a non-conductive or hardly conductive carbon fiber conductive. 12,000 fibers, weight per meter, 28 ohms. And that's for interconnect perfect. For loudspeakers not perfect, so you have to multiply. And the third has at the moment 4.2 million fibers, creating 0.075 ohm per meter. Still not ideal, but very close to ideal. About 4 years ago, I came across carbon nanotube. Carbon nanotube is a basic structure and Nobel Prize given, and it was originally called graphene. So graphene is one atom of carbon, 2, 2, 1, and it knits up. So 1, 2, 2, 1, and you can make a full grid of carbon. Ideal for stability, ideal also for conductivity, because there are no boundaries. Graphene is ultralight, very strong, but wasn't a good conductor. At the moment I'm involved in the manufacturing of carbon nanotube to improve the conductivity, because we got requests from aerospace companies to use the carbon nanotube for their applications, like a satellite and like in aerospace traffic. It's ultralight, ultra strong, and has still it still needs to improve the connectivity. And because of the experience I made in the past with our first group of fiber, first, second, and third, I can use the same knowledge to improve the connectivity of the carbon nanotube. So carbon nanotube is fundamentally a flat grid of graphene, and in the manufacturing it's rounded, rolled, and now it's a hollow tube of carbon. 19 are put together, and that product is called the carbon nanotube, the CNT. It's the first commercial product worldwide with carbon nanotubes. No other company was sooner or faster. We were the first. So I'm a little bit proud of that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you for that.